as you guys remember, I did mention I did receive a letter from an attorney from Gage that he would like to. He wants, I guess, would you call it part-time custody of Monroe?
50-50?
He wants 50-50.
50-50.
So welcome to the free world.
Yeah.
Right. That was this morning's conversation.
Yeah, I'm a little shocked by that, considering that for the last 5 months he told me that the best place for her
Was with you.
was in our home, and that went on for 5 months. And I've been paying all the expenses, and everything seemed to be okay until recently. Which you don't know about, Liz, is that I was allowing him access inside. He was coming in the home once or twice a day.
Right.
And then something happened last week where it made me very nervous and scared. And
What did he do?
We had a disagreement the night before via email. It wasn't a very big deal.
Okay.
But when he came in the morning, he had locked himself in my guest room, and he said that he wasn't going to come out till I left. And that made me feel very unsafe in my own home. So I reacted by saying,
That seems a little unstable.
actually, a couple of people have implied that, and I'm not going to say that. But so what happened was I'd got back to him and I said, look, I don't think that you should be doing visitation in my home anymore. I just don't feel comfortable. You can see Monroe whenever you want. I will allow you complete access to Monroe, but I think you should just do visitation outside the house. That prompted a very strong letter from an attorney who I met yesterday. Actually, was kind of nice. Steve.
Yeah.
It was really nice. But he's nice in person. Not so nice like when you
In his
send
letters.
those letters. But he was actually kind of a nice, friendly,
Right.
reasonable guy.
Those lawyer letters,
are people too, Jeff.
those are something else, man.
Yeah.
I thought
I've read
so.
a few of Jonathan's letters. Those letters can
They're
be
tough.
very strong.
They're tough.
Right.
But so what happened was that they had requested, Gage had immediately requested that he wants her 3.5 days a week right now without any sort of transition.
But see, that's just retaliation. I mean, maybe there's
Yeah.
a way to go back to being incredibly supportive of each other and taking the high road and doing it within your home, because that really is what's best for Monroe.
You know what? It surprised me because we had this meeting scheduled for yesterday, but we actually had a very interesting, even with all of the ill will last week and the animosity and the back and forth, all that, on Sunday night,
Yeah.
he had taken her to the Grove and went to Nordstrom's and went to dinner and all of that, and they had a nice day together for Father's Day. And when he brought her home, she was feeling sick, and she had diarrhea in the car.
Uh-oh.
And she was crying, and it hurt.
Yeah,
and
of course.
he was holding her, and she just didn't want to let go of him. And I said, just come in the house.
Right.
After I had already told him last week, like, no more. So I said,
Well, that's what was best for her.
Listen,
Right.
it's always what's best. I mean, the
Right.
same thing happened with me and Ron over the weekend. I mean, Easton was feeling sick on Father's Day. I said, listen, come over to the house. I want to deal with him in the house. Of course, it gets complicated. You can't stand each other. There's all these kinds of emotions. But at the end of the day, Ron did come to the house. She got to stay in bed longer. I left. I went down to La Jolla to see Jonathan and my dad for Father's Day. And Easton got to relax in her own bed when she's not feeling well. And Ron stayed with her there at the house. Now, that sort of feels a little bit like he's in my space, but it was what was best for her.
You know what's so funny is that, people think that I hate him. And actually there are times where I want to hate him. I don't hate him.
No.
When
Yeah,
you spend
exactly.
someone when you spend 10 years with someone, it's kind of hard to hate them. Now, once in a while I hate him, but then what happened
You only
is
hate when people come after you unnecessarily.
he came in the house and he and we just came together for her, and it's like we
That's right.
cleaned her up, we changed her diaper. He's like, do we have Pedialyte? Where's the medication? He's like, I said, we're out of Pedialyte. He said he ordered it. He had a guy there in 30 minutes with it. We were texting each other all night and updating each other.
It's a
and
good team.
It was
It's the
kind of
only way to
amazing.
stay. It's the only way to stay. People, even my parents would be like, you're too nice to Ron. I mean, he's done this to you. He's done that to you. And I'd say, she's, 6 years old when we separated. Now she, until 18. And it's just better if we have, a friendship, if we have some respect. I wrote him a Father's Day card where I said, thank you for giving me the greatest gift of my life. You know?
That's really nice.
And at the end of the day, I
Yeah.
want to stay on the high road with him. There's nothing to gain on the other road.
It was such a
You know?
great experience, and for us coming together. And I wrote him. I woke up in the morning, and this was at 6:58. I woke up in the morning. I said, good morning. The baby woke up briefly at 5:30 to 6, but she is now back to sleep. Thank you for coming in last night. I know you and Monroe missed the morning and evening routine. You are welcome to come back in the house moving forward. You scared me when you locked yourself in the guest room. I felt very uncomfortable and unsafe. I didn't understand what was happening. I reacted badly, and I'm sorry.
Look.
You took ownership.
Yeah.
And I thought that we
Yeah.
could walk in that mediation yesterday. It wasn't mediation. It was just his attorneys and my attorneys. And
With
I
an
really,
open mind.
I
Yeah.
just thought, but he came in hot, and it was really
But sometimes
ugly
when you're afraid, your fists are flying. You know what I mean? I think if you could even just do, like you said, mediation versus lawyers. I mean, it's just a waste of money. I mean, that's just all it's going to be is a waste of money.
I figure we spent $5,000 or $6,000 yesterday in attorney's fees.
That's
Well,
insane.
I was there for
That's
3
insane.
hours. I had to finally leave at 5:00 because it wasn't going anywhere. But literally, I thought this meeting was going to be. We're going to talk about custody arrangements. We're going to talk about financial support. We're going to handle it all.
Right.
We're going to put together an arrangement and move forward. Literally for 3 hours,
And
we
listen-
discussed visitation this week, and it
So
was never resolved.
There was no flexibility.
$5,000 to $6,000 to talk about visitation this week. Am I going to spend $6,000 a week
No.
to go over
it's
visitation?
Crazy.
It's
oh my
crazy.
God.
Absolutely. Listen,
It was
It's
insane.
ridiculous.
They had to
Having
take
been
him out of
through
a
that,
room.
yeah.
He couldn't keep it together. He was so angry and so
Well,
irrational.
I
They had to move him to another conference room.
I
Well,
think
and
you've got a
here's-
good point, Liz, that
Yeah.
when you say that fear breeds, sort of aggression, and I think that you come out, it's like
Unnecessarily.
it's the fight or flight,
And
instinct.
listen, any agreement that you come to today can be changed tomorrow, can be changed the next year. So how one behaves every step of the way is important. I mean, this is a 50-50 state, so of course that makes everybody vulnerable.
Yeah.
And it made me feel terrified because I felt like I was the parent who should have most of the time because I was the one holding down the fort.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, everything can change year to year. So your behavior speaks volumes for how you are as a parent. If you're stable and you're handling things and taking a high road, that speaks volumes for how you are as a parent with that child. So, you can come to an agreement today, but, people have to watch themselves.
You had told me, and a lot of other people said, like, look, he's her father. He has a
Yeah.
right to see her.
Of
Absolutely.
course.
I understand that we're probably working towards, more visitation, nights at his house, the whole thing. I just want to transition her slowly. I'm thinking about her. You can't pick up a kid on Wednesday, bring her back Friday night, and take her to a new place that she doesn't know with all new things.
And
and expect her to be okay.
And even like this, like you going over there and doing a dinner there with the two of them in that space.
Yes.
And things
Slowly
being done like
transitioning
lovingly and gradually.
Yes.
As opposed to this all these hot emotions and then just things just feel so abrupt and scary for
and
everybody
for her,
and for
it's
her.
foreign.
He knows she's sensitive, and
Yeah.
I've been appealing to him. I've been texting him like,
Just little by
she's
little.
sensitive. When
Yeah.
we moved
Little by
from
little.
the Hollywood Boulevard house back to the
you would
Sherman
take her
Oaks
there to
house
Sherman Oaks every once in a while just to get her used to it.
to get her used to it, and what happened was even with the transition, with Gage and I moving, with all of her things, with the pets, with the staff, everybody, she still was like, I want to go home. I want to go home. I
remember
want to
that.
go home.
Yeah.
Now imagine pulling her out on Wednesday, taking to a place she's never
For
been.
2 days.
No,
Well, listen, I
yeah,
gotta tell you something. I will forever be grateful for this. Easton was sensitive, and you know what Ron did because we had started with this 50-50 concept. He said, you know what, she needs to be home with you more, and he saw it. And in the beginning, he didn't. And maybe Gage will come to that place because then it became 4 days with me, 3 days with him. Now we're at 5 days with me, 2 days with him. And the acknowledgement of what was best for Easton came from us, like sharing dinner sometimes,
Yes.
sharing some holidays sometimes, because we still had to stay a united front as a family.
Yes.
And he recognized who she was as a person. So the 50-50 thing may not be what's best for her, but it took being on a high road together and being a collective front as a family. We still call ourselves a family. That was hard, and I didn't get advice to play nice like that. But we both did it, and it was the right thing to do.
And I don't dispute his rights as her parent.
No.
What I dispute is how we do it.
Right.
She's 2.5 years old.
Do it together.
This is her home.
Do it together.
She's
Just
been
ease her into it.
ease her into it.
And he'll see if she's super uncomfortable. I believe
I
that
hope
Gage
so,
is a
or
good father, and he'll make sure that
Oh, I hope so. Or is it going to be I'm right, an ego situation? What if she cries all night long and he doesn't tell me? What if what does
talk to him about that. Tell him that that's your concern and that you're worried and that
I'm
that's
really, really worried about
Yeah.
this. I'm really
and
worried.
I would really try to make it not about money, and I would even make the type of conversations that you have about her and money be really transparent with each other and upfront, because when things get ugly, the kid is the only one who suffers, and that's a fact.
I don't want to make any sort of allegations or intimate anything. There's a part of me that wonders, he quit his job working for me, and it was a well-paying job, and now, he's going to start his own design business, which, Megan, you and I know how hard it is.
it's a struggle.
Especially when you don't have the connections or
Absolutely.
relationships.
So why doesn't
I've
he
been
just,
very
why
open
doesn't
about
he
my
just come
struggles.
back and work with you, and you guys just take a breath and stop with the lawyer stuff?
I'm not, he quit. I'm not the one that fired him, so it would be up to him. But so now you're in a situation where, you're struggling with this new business, and there's a part of me that thinks, is this
fear-based?
Well, and is there some sort of financial motive? Like if you have her certain many days a week, you get X amount of child support. I really wonder, like if he could just sit down and talk to me, this could be a much better.
It could be resolved.
But not only could it be resolved, it could be better than what the court